Hey, Clay in the Potter's Hands here. Let's see. This video is about how to replace a handle in the woods from a really cool old digging tool that I found in a thrift store, I think in Santa Cruz. Really cool. It's actually a Maddox, miniature Maddox. So you got the digger, see that? Super good. Planting, digging, trenching. And so I need a new handle, and since we don't normally function with pockets full of money, we have to go into the woods. I took a branch like this, see that, all gnarly, from a cypress tree because it's really strong. It's dried out. I'm not sure if it's better to use wet wood, but and then so I found this branch that used to look like that. It's still got this big piece off of it here. Got race motorcycles in the background because it's Sunday and we're on the edge of a very famous road, highway, tourism highway on the beach, Gilligan's Island, Great Shepherd's Rock. So then I'm going to take this, and I'm not going to be able to show you to move the camera, but that's okay for now. In the future we'll have videographers. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to knock off all these nodes where the knots are, which is actually going to bring a lot of character to the piece. And this end right here, see that? That seems to fit nearly perfect, that shape. See? And that's what you want to do so you don't have to carve that much. Just try to match the shape. So you want your wood slightly bigger so that you can carve it down properly. And I'm going to use this piece, this tool, axe, and knock off the nodes. So it's best to hold your wood upside down, right side up, branches coming up, and you want to hammer against the branches. So I'm kind of talking to my friend Stacy right now, who hopefully is going to train me on how to edit things. And so I'm actually doing a demonstration for Stacy and explaining it to you all as well. So I'm going to cut these branches opposite side so they'll break off a lot easier. This big one on the side there, probably going to cut that off. But if you carefully, and you want to, when you're axing these, you want to get as close into the body as possible, and it'll pop those right off. And then I gotta take a knife and pull off all the bark. You know, and if this lasted for a year, you'd want it to last a long time, but say you made a mistake somewhere, but you got the handle to work, it's gonna suffice for when you need it. And actually, I'm gonna debark it, pull the bark off with the axe. Axe is a really good debarker. If this was wet, I would take a very sharp knife and I would slice the wood down the middle and peel it off. It would peel because it would still have moisture underneath it. And very possibly a lot of this bark, since it's not wanting to come off, and the shape is what I'm looking for, I'll keep it on there. If it's not messing up the way that I want to hold it, starting to take some shape. See that? It looks like the fat end of it is going to be referred to in logging world. It's going to be the bigger part. But I actually need to make this end the handle if I want it to work right. And I might have enough wood to do that. If I take it down a little bit. Okay. So then I'm going to start cutting down the side of this to fit in there. I got to take off that branch first. So we're going to do that with the saw. And when using a wood saw or any saw, really, your speed, be careful when starting the wood that you don't pull it out of there and cut yourself. So speed is better than pressure for cutting, especially with really hard wood. But also, when you use speed instead of pressure, it keeps it from binding up. Don't cut things on your lap. You might cut yourself. But be careful. So there's our almost looking like a handle. Okay. Give it another size up. The top is bigger than the bottom. So having a hard time figuring out which end's supposed to go in what. Pause the video. Pausing. Okay, we're back. Just got a good parable, you know. We gotta always share philosophy in this. I was just saying that when you're carving wood, it's always hardest wood right next to the knots. And the knots are where the branches come out of. And I was thinking about our spiritual branches in life, because branches are where we stem outward. Could be our relationships to things. And right there is where we will have the hardest growth, right where a branch comes out. And the strongest part of the tree is right there. Hope you could hear that on the camera there, because I said it pretty silent. Basically, that's where most of the growth takes place. on the tree is obviously where the branches come out. And if the branches don't grow, then it's pretty simple. So I'm going to clean this up a little bit more around the edge down here to where this fits on here nice and secure, clean. And to where the top is, it's a lot narrower around there. You want a tighter clean than fit than that. But if I keep cleaning this up and pushing this down onto the wood, then the bottom half's going to be matching the top. And then when we put screws in there, it's going to expand it, and it should hold this in there with friction. So that's what we're doing. Because really what you want is it to fit in there clean, all sides touching, you know, like a factory-made handle. If you want it to not wiggle around while you're trying to dig in the dirt. So I'm just taking a box cutter knife, you know, using the blade, trimming it up nice and clean. And then I have what is called a wood rasp, and in this case one with a little bit of rust on it. Shame on me. Yeah, I got water on my wood rasp. You can see the way that's shaped. Little teeth on there, kind of like a steel file, but it's got little teeth on it to bite the wood. See? And that's going to take off more than just the other one. More than just a knife. Smoother. See, now it's starting to look like a, within how many minutes we got here? 15 minutes, because we only took a couple minutes off the clock. You got almost a handle instead of spending 20 bucks on one. And you can take some pride and joy knowing that you put it together. So I can look down it and I can see if I take off the top and the bottom a little more, this is going to slide down onto there nice and good, and then I'll be able to put the screws in it. So the back side of this, rounded side, it's called a rounded, I think a bastard file, maybe. But I know it's a strange name, but there is a bastard file, I can't remember. But anyhow, flat edge, curved edge on the bottom to take off more meat when you want to remove more material quicker. So I can see that the rust did its business and took off a bunch of my teeth. So that's not going to happen. Don't take care of your tools, it means you got to work harder to use them. Dull blades, broken handles. It means the work you're doing is twice the work. Just take a little bit off, put the handle back on, check it, keep taking some wood off. until you get where you want to be. Here's a round rasp, round, and a wood rasp. Oh yeah. See, there can be a problem when you come to a knot and you're wanting to flatten something. As I'm grinding, that knot's wanting to stay there because it's tougher than the rest of the wood. So then you have to get right in there on the knot and work it itself, and then come back to the wood because it's tougher than the rest of it. Then when you get to this point, you may start just working on certain spots of it. So I'm like, okay, that right there needs some undivided attention. Whoever heard that in school? Undivided attention. I have your undivided. You ever thought about what that means, folks? Undivided? It means I need you to be unified. Undivided is one. If you're not divided, you're one. So I need you all to pay attention at the same time about the same thing. Undivided attention. This is Sunday afternoon crafts with clay. Put you to sleep while you watch me work on crafts like we all used to do with Mr. Bob Ross. Crafts with clay on Sunday, on the sunny day. See, once you get the handle to fit the way you want it, then you can start working on. And what they used to do in the old days, they would fill the gaps also with pine pitch. So they would take pine pitch from the trees and they would heat it up on the fire real light, get it bubbly, pour it down inside these. When it solidifies, it acts like glue. They used it. Natives used it for that. I'm going to keep working this a little bit because my gap is more than I'm comfortable with. So if this wiggles at all from the beginning, it's just going to get worse from there. You know, the tiny amount of wiggling. Getting's there. So the other way you can tell where you need to carve it. Okay, I'm going to show you guys this. Remember, I'm filming. So another way you can figure out where you need to take some meat off of the wood is give it a tap, like that. If you don't have another hammer, you can use a stone. Harder than the wood, at least. So you do that, and then I take my handle off, and right there where there's notches, where the metal hit, that's what's stopping the hammer from going down. So you just take some meat off right there. Okay. Grab the tool again. Check it again. Starting to like that. It's long enough. Don't want too long of a handle. You don't want a short handle. I want it packable. And I'm going to have to clean all this up because those are all calluses waiting to happen. You don't clean your wood up, your hands on there, it's all going to tear your hands up. So you got to clean it up, make it smooth. And so now we're going to hammer this on. Little digger. Might want the handle a little bit longer for this, so I'm going to end up cutting this off. I hammered that on, it's pretty good and tight. See that fit? It's pretty solid. A little bit of gap on the top, not bad. So when I put that, I'm going to end up, maybe we'll put pine pitch in it, but pine pitch cracks. You know, if it moves at all, it will crack and come out. But if it don't move, it'll just hold the gap in there. But I'm going to cut the top off and to where it's level across there, and then we're going to put a screw in there. I'm going to put a couple of them in there, and that'll expand the wood and hold this in there nice and solid. And anytime when cutting with a saw, first of all, safety. I feel pretty in control of my tools, my hands, you know, but you may want to clamp this down or something. So again, when you're using a saw, starting your cut is of utmost importance. Actually, starting anything you do is the important part. There goes a chipmunk running across the stage. This is a tool I've been wanting to put a handle on for a really long time, and I was just waiting for Stacy so I could do a YouTube video of it. If you have any doubt that that wood is that hard, very hard, you can hear it. There we go. Pretty straight. So these screws, for all of you out there that aren't builders and don't know, we've evolved from the Phillips head screwdriver, the star, you know, one up, crossed, you know, straight head screwdriver, Phillips, like this. And now we have a star that has 6 points, 6-pointed star on the end of the bit. And those are the best screws to buy if you want strength and usability and reusability, because they don't strip out typically. So you can actually pull screws and reuse them a lot. And the cost, pretty close to twice as much as a regular screw. Now, typically, I would want to pre-drill this to get these screws in here, because it's going to split the wood, but I want it to expand. So, and now with modern tools, we have an impact drill, because there's no way I could have used a drill in the past. Wouldn't have been strong enough. This? Oh, a hand drill? Yeah, well, so an impact works like a jackhammer, and it increases the torque of, you'll hear it when it gets tough, it's going to sound like a hammer. And it's going to really be putting a lot of pressure down in here. We'll see how this goes. Did all that work, now let's put a couple screws in it, see what we got. Again, starting screws is harder than screwing it in. Getting it to start in the wood and lining it up that it goes straight is important. So here we go. There is the sound of the impact. And we're going to put a second one in. And I'm pretty sure this thing's going to hold for a minute. That's solid. Got Stacy's approval. She likes it. We're good. Yeah, that's pretty darn solid. So I'll probably put some wood glue in here, just in the top. Drop it in there. It's all natural. That'll fill in that gap. Just keep it from wiggling at all. Put it in here, drop it in there. And I'm going to clean up the handle so we don't get blisters, because that's a blister getter right now. And that's always fun, something to do while you're sitting around camp. And I'm going to pause, maybe clean it up, and come back to you in just a second when it's blister proof, or less blisters ish.